Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well. Welcome to today's bonus upload. Before we jump on into it, a couple quick links. As many of you may know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. These audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click the bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and they are appreciated. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's bonus upload, shall we? Most wars produce such reports, and the seemingly never-ending engagements in Iraq and Afghanistan are no different, hiding within the tales of bombings, battles, and warfare stories of strange, mysterious encounters, which are often equally as harrowing. Here troops have reported coming across unknown animals, otherworldly entities, and bizarre beasts straight out of myth, proving once again that war is at times way weirder and more frightening than you can imagine. There are a myriad of strange stories to have come out of the warring in Middle East concerning a range of strange creatures sighted and confronted by troops that defy explanation and run the gamut of odd and downright bizarre. There's one encounter that goes like this. The account concerns a witness who worked for several years in Iraq and Afghanistan from 2004 to 2009 with the U.S. Army Criminal Investigations, CID, investigating crimes amongst military personnel such as bribery and theft. In 2005, he was embedded with an Army infantry unit deep in the rugged mountains of a region of Iraqi Kurdistan, in the northeast Iraq near the Iranian border. After being briefed on the general situation, he learned some decidedly bizarre activity that had been occurring in the remote area concerning a mysterious creature haunting the locals that no one was able to identify. According to the villagers of the isolated wilderness region and the Kurdish military, people were being stalked and hunted by a beast known locally as the ghoul, which was described as being a very tall humanoid creature with long arms and legs, and which had a taste for human flesh. The witness was ordered to the area for an in-depth investigation, accompanied by an infantry squad, and at this point it was thought that the bizarre story perhaps came down to a crazed soldier who had gone AWOL and was going around killing people. It was thought that they may be basically dealing with a serial killer, a man who had perhaps snapped and gone mad from the stresses of war. Yet, after several days of surveillance and searching, they had come up with no trace of who or what could be behind the strange activity. They began to suspect that this was all just spooky stories and nerves, but villagers were adamant that something was hunting them and killing them, to the point that many of them were afraid to leave their homes, even in the daytime. Then things took a turn for the weird. According to the witness, one evening he was going over some reports with the squad leader when they reported hearing a shrill, unearthly scream echo through the air outside, which seemed to come from the direction of the nearby mountain pass. When they went outside to investigate, some of the villagers were hurrying to their homes for safety, and they claimed that this was the scream of the very thing that had been terrorizing them. The armed soldiers mobilized and decided to head into the pass to investigate the eerie, otherworldly scream, and whatever it was howling again several times stood everyone's hair on end. It was an alarming, blood-curdling scream unlike anything any of them have ever heard before, like no animal known to live in the area, and these heavily armed men were actually scared of what they might find out in the dark. Slowly and warily, they fanned out into the dark pass to conduct a search, and the witness would describe what happened as this. Within the hour, the squad and I were slowly entering a pass. It was night, but the moon was very bright, so we were able to see around a bit. We searched the entire area for several hours using night vision and high-intensity lights. We found nothing, not a footprint or a remnant of any creature fitting that description. I've always wondered what we heard that night. I've asked a few learned people for their opinion, but with little satisfaction. There were many strange instances in Iraq that just never made the light of day. I heard of some, but I'm positive most were just filed away. Other strange humanoid creatures seem to have haunted troops in the Middle East that are just as hard to classify and every bit as odd. One American soldier claimed to have had a very bizarre encounter while deployed in a remote of southern Afghanistan. The witness reports that one night he and a squad mate had set up position to secure a site around 2 a.m., at which time only he and the forward gunner were awake. After setting up the position, they sat there in the quiet night, scanning the darkness for any activity. And the tiredness and monotony of the scene crept up on them and threatened to make them fall asleep. However, they were jolted awake when something bizarre stepped out of the night. Out of the shadows, about 75 yards away from their position, crept what appeared to be a very tall man. And the startled soldiers put on their night vision goggles to identify this potential enemy. Whatever the figure appeared to be a human, and they were wondering whether to open fire or not when it reportedly turned its head towards them and peered at them with eyes so bright that they hurt the soldiers' eyes and caused their night vision goggles to malfunction. This is the rest of the encounter per the witness. Then the thing turned and looked right at me with eyes so bright my night vision started to burn out. Meaning it was so bright it was burning the system, usually done by only really bright stuff like the sun. So that freaked me out, and I pulled my night vision equipment off, and those eyes were like neon red blood. Blood red and bright as the sun. So this freaks me out, and I pull my machine gun over and train the thermal optic on it. And those eyes were so hot it started to burn out the optic. Same concept as before, but with heat. But his body was so cold it stood out from the background, which is very weird. I slowly loaded it, and then eyes moved, like he cocked his head at me and turned and walked off and was gone. I didn't say a word of this while we were there or to anyone in the army since we have gotten back. These strange encounters with humanoid beings could be a lot of things, but according to some far-out reports, they may be actual vampires. As outrageous as this may sound, one investigator, reporter, and U.S. Marine named Tim King, who spent months in Afghanistan combat theater, covering a variety of military operations for SalemNews.com and Oregon Spox 12, wrote of just such a thing in a 2007 article for Salem News entitled Vampires in Afghanistan. Soldiers say it's true, according to King. During his travels, he met an American soldier at the Bagram airfield in Afghanistan who would tell him a bizarre tale indeed. The soldier asked King if he knew about the vampire problem in the area, something the reporter had not once heard of in his entire time in country. Intrigued, King asked for more information on what the soldier was talking about, who then claimed that vampires were said to live deep in the desert, that they were quite a bit taller than normal humans, and that they were frequently women. He claimed the people in the area had known about these sinister creatures for centuries, that they came out in the dark and stalked the desert badlands and mountains at night looking for victims, and they would indeed often thought to be responsible for people going missing without a trace. The soldier would tell King they were really terrified of them. It scares people half to death if they just think one is around. They come out at night, sometimes people come up missing, especially kids. They even pull their animals inside when the vampires are out. It's been going on for hundreds of years here. People in other parts of the world don't even know about it, but anyone who has lived around here does. The soldier also claimed that military forces operating in the region were also aware of the vampires and that they had seen them on many occasions, adding, "Guys are scared, you're damned right. They know there isn't a thing anyone can do about it if one of them decides to come after you. You just stick with other people and hope for the best sometimes." Fitting very well into the theme of vampires prowling the night landscape of the wastelands of Afghanistan is another exceptionally bizarre report from the country which allegedly occurred on January 25th, 2002. It started when a group of U.S. Marines were mapping caves near Tora Bora with sonar equipment when they reportedly began having strange interference on their equipment from some identified signal coming within. The soldiers thought at first it was a jamming device of some sort screwing with their equipment, possibly Taliban forces, and three men, Corporal Sawyer and Wade and Sergeant Carlos Ramos, allegedly ventured into the darkness to see what was going on. They geared up and went in search of the source of the signal that was jamming them, which appeared to be embedded deep down in a cave somewhere. As they penetrated into the murk of the cave's bowels, Corporal Wade reportedly walked into an explosive device booby trap of some sort which broke his back and started screaming out in pain. When the others ran to his aid, they could see that he was not only hurt but terrified by something he had seen. The fallen soldier claimed that after he had been injured, as he lay helplessly on the cave floor, something large had flown over him, which he said looked like a woman with wings. The other Marines thought maybe he had been incapacitated. Wade was hallucinating from pain, and after making sure he was okay and radioing for a rescue team, they left him there to see if they could reach the signal source, which their equipment told them was not far away. As the two remaining men closed in on the signal, it reportedly suddenly disappeared, only to reappear again at approximately Wade's position. The two baffled Marines were trying to figure out what was going on when they suddenly heard gunfire coming from Wade, as well as screams of what sounded like terror and pain. They hurried through the gloom of the fallen body, but when they reached him, they found Wade had died and sustained injuries from what appeared to be a wild animal of some sort. As the other two increasingly unsettled men continued to get a fix on the moving signal, they then reportedly came across the creature themselves, which appeared to be a humanoid being with bat-like wings and feminine features. Even worse, it was apparently soon joined by more of them. Whatever these bizarre things were, they were apparently also very aggressive, as they immediately attacked the two Marines who dropped their flashlights in shock and fired their weapons wildly into the darkness. When the rescue team they had originally called to come retrieve Wade arrived, they allegedly found Ramos limping about, who was brought in for medical attention and treated for a case of rabies, before finally being discharged and sent home. The bodies of Wade and Sawyer were supposedly never found. The case and dramatization of these alleged rather dramatic events within the cave was featured on Animal Planet's TV show Lost Tapes, Season 1, Episode 7. Although the arid desert locale might not lend itself to such accounts, the battlefields of the Middle East have also been the source of actual Bigfoot reports, or at least some similar type of hairy humanoid. One such account comes from the BFRO report from investigator B.G. Martin. One evening in 2011, a 26-year-old Army sergeant was on lookout duty in the remote mountain region of Bargi-Mata, a province in Afghanistan, staking out the area for potential Taliban attacks through an infrared scope. At one point, he spotted the thermal image of a very large creature around 500 to 600 meters away, which he described looking ape-like. I would say it looked like a big monkey or an ape. It was big and beefy in the shoulders. The startled soldier called out to the others and told them to train their scopes on this mysterious creature. And 5 others also saw it, after which they observed it for between an estimated 10 to 15 minutes. The heat signature suggested that it was not wearing clothing of any sort, as that would have created darker patches on the body, and its coloration seemed to be uniform white. None of them had any idea of what it could be, as it was much too large to be a man and looked very ape-like, to the point that one of the soldiers even suggested that a gorilla must have escaped a zoo and wandered out into the wilderness. Whatever it was quite agile for its size, reportedly climbed over loose granite shale, upsloped with ease. When the men later talked to locals, they were told that what they had seen was probably what they call the Barmanua, which is a bipedal primate of some sort they claim roams the mountains of western Pakistan and Afghanistan. Is there a large unknown humanoid hairy primate lurking within these remote areas? As if strange beings, vampires, and Bigfoot in Afghanistan aren't quite odd enough, there have been other weird creatures encountered by troops in the Middle East as well. In 2003, a U.S. soldier deployed during the Gulf War claims to have seen a bizarre beast that is hard to really classify. In July of that year, the witness was in a 3-vehicle convoy on its way to Quasar, when in the early morning hours something wandered into the light cast by their headlights, which was described as being a cross between a monkey, dog, and a rat. As they passed it, the creature apparently didn't do anything, just ignored them, and they drove on into the night. However, it would not be the last time they saw this type of creature. An hour later, the convoy was drawing close to the final destination of Quasar, and as they rounded a bend, they saw another one of these same creatures. This time, the road was well lit by streetlights, and they could see it in striking detail. The convoy stopped so they could get a better look. The bizarre beast was reportedly around the height of a full-grown collie, but hairless and possessed a gray body and was emaciated to the point that its ribs could clearly be seen protruding from all sides. The tail was described as long and monkey-like, and its face like a rat, with long, sharp teeth and pointed ears and oversized, luminous gray eyes. Its legs were long, thin, and straight. The baffled men watched with mouths agape as this extraordinary sight, and none of them had the slightest idea what they were looking at. They watched it for about 2 minutes before it slinked into the shadows of a side of the road. The witness would claim that they did not have a camera to record this sighting. Did the men see a mangy animal, a new species, or a Middle Eastern chupacabra? There can be no doubt that there were things in the Middle Eastern wars in Iraq and Afghanistan that go well beyond what most see in mainstream news. To barrel right through and propel themselves into the furthest reaches of the odds, such encounters as we have looked at here are surrounded by questions we may never know the answers to. What did these people see? Is there any truth to any of it, or is it just a mix of exaggeration, tall tales, and stresses of war? Whatever the answers to these questions may be, the fact is that war holds within them a treasure trove of strange stories and encounters, both within the enemy and things beyond our understanding, whether those things lie firmly within the human mind or not. What other horrors lie within these wars beyond human ones? The answer, whatever it may be, is out there somewhere, although it seems we are unlikely to ever see any of this on the evening news.
And there you have it, folks. I hope you all enjoyed today's bonus as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you for supporting the channel. It is your support that helps the channel to continue to grow and go, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. Please, everyone, stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. These events have happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.